As humans, we see ourselves as the rightful rulers of Earth. But what is the boundary that separates us from the animals below us? The biggest difference between us and other animals is the characteristic of asking questions and our curiosity of how and why our world works like this. During a great time of change during the Renaissance, great philosophers and scientists revolutionized the way people think and do things. Their discoveries have changed the course of modern history. Legendary figures such as Galileo, Einstein, Archimedes, and Aristotle used their curiosity to make a tremendous impact on the world. They all strived and stubbornly worked to solve their questions. Our curiosity has led Benjamin and I to ask many questions about today's world, where we conduct action research and interviews to answer our questions. This is the Anton and Benjamin Show, and I am your host, Anton.
And I'm Benjamin. Every society, from the futuristic Eloy of H.G. Wells's imagination to the ancient empires of Rome and Greece, have fallen and risen in proportion to their curiosity for knowledge. At the height of their power, these civilizations valued educators and created an atmosphere around education that allowed them to achieve greatness. Teachers played an integral part in these societies, and they play an even larger part in modern society.
They are some of the most influential people in a person's life, but the reason for that influence is often attributed to the wrong part of their job. Teachers have their role in society mainly defined as the leaders of academia, but their greatest achievement is not the pouring of facts into the vessel that is the student's mind, but rather is their guidance of the youth on their journey into adulthood.
This is clearly a very large topic, and so just let me begin with some facts and we can snowball from there on.
That'd be great.
So, over the course of many years, there have been studies that present the same information and ideas as this one from David Blazer. He is a professor at the University of Maryland, and this study he conducted found that teachers have a much larger impact on students emotionally rather than academically.
Well, that's very interesting to me because not many people give teachers credit for how they mentally develop their students. Whenever you see people thanking their teachers, they usually thank them for explaining the subject or making a boring topic into an exciting one. They never talk about how they're emotionally affected by their teachers.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I think that's because a lot of people just don't want to admit it. Whenever students talk about their teachers, at least in our community, it's usually with friends and family and with a negative connotation. And when people are in a situation like that, they don't want to stick out like that, and so they remain quiet.
I agree with that. I think that what you just presented is a very probable possibility, and part of the reason our parents don't give teachers as much credit as they do deserve. For example, my parents always tell me to listen to my teachers because they give me indispensable knowledge for college and life after that, and although they do, it's not the only thing they give me. They can mold me into a better human being. I think that teachers know that they are important to the mental development to their students. Here's a small clip from our interview with Miss Yen. She's a math teacher here at Miller Middle School, and Benjamin talks to her about our topic.
So, how do you think you impact your students here at Miller?
I consider there are two ways I can impact my students. One is math, academic. Second is their attitude and their behavior in the future. For math, I will try to help them build a good foundation so they can do better in the future for future math courses. For being a good citizen, I will use opportunity. If I see something wrong, I'll use the opportunity to tell them, okay, this is not right, this is the right, okay, or this is good way. So I try to help them become a good citizen in the future. That's how I think I can impact them.
What is your favorite part about teaching here?
My favorite part of teaching is when students say, "Oh, I got it," then that made me happy. Yeah, that would be the fun part.
Yes, I think what Miss Yen said is pretty cool, and I think we can all see that she's very passionate about teaching and is very aware about how she affects her students.
Yeah, I like how she talked about teachers affecting students, such as when she talked about how she impacted us as citizens and our attitude and behavior. And tracing back to the last segment, I talked about how parents don't give teachers much credit. I think they do so much for us.
I think your point about parents is absolutely right. And just to add on to that point about teachers not getting enough credit, I also believe that part of it is because parents are the ones that are expected to lift the weight of that. Whenever somebody is particularly snobbish or egotistical, we always blame their parents for not teaching them correctly. And while I think that we should blame them, it just goes to show that the impact of teachers emotionally is downplayed. I think prime examples of these are the common sense media and human growth and development curriculums. Both of these programs are focused on helping students mature, with the former aiming at teaching kids how to be responsible online, and the latter aiming towards helping kids be responsible with their bodies. The job of educating teens on these topics is usually given to parents, and many believe that it should be only the parents who talk to them. A substantial amount of politicians have called for the abolishment of programs like these because of their belief that teachers should not teach sensitive subjects. However, many teachers and many parents and their children have mutual discomfort with discussing this information with each other, and so schools are often needed to educate students on these topics for the betterment of everybody. I think this is just one small example of teachers helping to mature their students without receiving the credit they deserve.
I think that's great. It really highlights just how valuable teachers are to society. But there is one part of this that we have yet to talk about, and that is bad teachers. All of those benefits that we discussed earlier are limited to students with effective teachers, and we all know how rare effective teachers are.
Yeah, and that's a great transition to this next fact I'm about to present. Did you know that a single year with a bad teacher can cost you about $1.4 million in lifetime earnings?
What, really?
Yeah, this is according to a testimony during a 2014 California court case.
Wow, that just seems absurd that you could lose so much from just 1 year with a teacher that didn't care. We all know that to do anything in life, you need money. And to lose that much of it in a tiny amount of time when compared with the rest of your life is just crazy.
This shows just how impactful the first 20 odd years of someone's life is. Someone could be living a completely different life had they just had one or two more effective teachers during their childhood.
I think we have clearly established just how influential teachers are on students, but they are often seen as the villains of childhood and seen in a negative light by many of those that they teach. In a survey that we conducted, the results showed that students like a variety of different teachers, but were all quite uniform on a select few teachers that were very far below their standards.
Right. And I think the most interesting part about that was almost none of the teachers that were liked appeared on the list of the disliked teachers.
That's a very interesting point. The last topic I want to bring up is how students learn best and how the teacher can affect us. I mean, a good teacher obviously teaches us things in an effective way, but how do we truly learn best? Here, Benjamin and I interview Mr. Marquez, a coach for teachers, an experienced member in the academic industry, and the vice principal here at Miller Middle School. Here is a short clip.
So, you said you would instruct other teachers, so how have your teachers affected the way you would teach them, I guess?
Like my teachers growing up,
Yeah.
like as a student.
Uh-huh.
I think again it goes back to like relationships, right? Most of my new teachers that I've worked with like really dig into like the classroom instruction and getting down like the rules and procedures and routines and stuff. However, one thing that I always emphasize is to build the relationships with the students. It's on. Is to build the relationships with the students, because think about it, like, are you more willing to learn from somebody that like that makes you feel like they're invested in you, or a total stranger who you don't think you even can relate to?
Yeah, I look at what he brought up because on the questionnaire we sent out to the students, I saw one of the students' responses where he talked about how he thought his elementary school teacher impacted him and helped him learn much better since they only taught one class so that a teacher could really engage with their students.
Yeah, because nowadays in middle school we have different teachers and a different class every single period, and every teacher only has us for around 50 minutes a day. I really think that makes a big difference since every teacher's teaching style is different and they don't really know what each individual needs help with since they have hundreds of students each day.
Yep, I definitely agree on that. And on a happy note, it was a pleasure.
And unfortunately for you, it's time to end. Goodbye.